here at ITEXPO Vegas talking to Andy Abramson, CEO of Comunicano. You wanted to talk a bit about telecom companies' exit strategies. What different exit strategies are you seeing these days?
Well, if you look at it, and we've been through 31 exits in the telco world in the last 13 years, there's a lot of changes happening. So you've got IPO is one option. Remember Vonage, they IPO'd, 8x8 IPO'd. You've now got RingCentral about to do an IPO and Twilio possibly going IPO, but there's a whole nother game. There's acquisition, there's roll-up. Look at the conferencing space. IOTM has recently acquired freeconference.com and a bunch of others. They bought Rondi's conferencing assets. Dolby's taking a piece of BT to roll out some kind of conferencing play. So there's IPO, there's acquisition, there's roll-up. All those things are happening. There's also distressed assets. There's a lot of pieces and parts out there that are able to be assembled and cobbled together. Earthlink's been doing that for the last couple of years, buying up distressed assets. Momentum Telecom has bought some pieces recently. So what we're seeing is a combination of consolidation. We're also seeing some evolution, and we're seeing some new companies enter the space who weren't there before or who are looking to get very big based on the assets that were put together by other companies.
Are the exit strategies any different than what you were seeing maybe 5 or 10 years ago in telecom?
It's the same approach. It's just happening with smarter buyers. And now you've got investment bankers really playing it, whereas before it was mostly corp dev. In the old days, you would take some intellectual property, you'd take an internet business, and you'd shop it to Microsoft, AOL, Yahoo, and Google. And now the investment bankers are in because there's other players who are looking at it. So for example, Oracle bought Acme Packet. Well, that puts a lot of other companies in play who have better technology than Acme Packet, who might be acquired by, say, Salesforce, that has a bitter rivalry, though it's always a bittersweet rivalry between Mark and Larry. But you might see Salesforce jump into the game, and they could possibly be a suitor for one of those companies.
Interesting. Obviously, we're seeing the rise of wireless. Higher and higher, everybody's going wireless. It's making a bigger impact in enterprise environments. What are your thoughts on the changing landscape between wireline and wireless?
I'm really glad to use the word wireless and not mobile, because everybody seems to think that it's simply a mobile world. But today, you've got wireless technology being used in everything from restaurants to hospitals that have to interact with the mobile network and the wireline network. So we're seeing more, I'll call it, convergence of services, and what we're seeing is a software approach to what used to be a telco world. With LTE coming along as rapidly as it is, not only in the United States, but in countries around the world, DSL is disappearing. So now you have a 10, 15, 20, 30 megabit pipe that's connected wirelessly, and you're going to be having more and more devices connecting off of those wireless networks. The idea of IoT, the Internet of Things, that are connected to the wireless world are going to change the way we communicate. No longer on our telephone, our old, straight set or 10-button set, or even some of the IP phones. You're now going to see your iPad or your Android tablet, or in your case, your MacBook Air. That's your phone, that's your screen, that's connected to this whole beautiful world of the Internet of Things. When I leave my house and I forget my wallet, my iPhone beeps. And it's connected, right now that's a Bluetooth connection, but in the future it could be a cellular connection using RFID, near field communication, known as NFC. All of these technologies are wireless, and in the mobile world it's being made possible. The flip side, though, is all of this data is going to be putting incredible pressure on our infrastructure, and we're going to have to build up more infrastructure, which means changing the fiber wavelength of the prisms so that you can put more, I like to say, more watermelon through a garden hose, basically send more bits over that pipe. The cable guys are constantly adding more fiber loops through Sonnet Ring, the telcos. Look at what AT&T said today, that they're going to deliver 40 megs to everybody's house for UVerse. Well, the cable guys are up to 100, heading towards 200. And we've got 10 gig Ethernet being installed in the office buildings all around the world. So once it gets in the building, how's it being distributed? Wirelessly, using Wi-Fi and other short form technologies.
Right, and I have to ask you about this because I think you mentioned the words software and telco together, and we're hearing so much about the idea of NFV, network functions virtualization, and I wondered what your thoughts are on if NFV has legs, and to what extent, how quickly telcos will go with more of a industry standard server and software environment going forward.
Well, if you look at Verizon buying Terramark a few years ago, clearly they already understand the need for virtualization and working in the cloud. But the cloud is really the modern day ASP. And if you want to go back, and I've got as much gray hair as anybody in the business, I remember time sharing. And time sharing was the first cloud. We did it with punch cards, we didn't do it with PDAs. But the difference was we were sharing a resource, and that cost of that resource was being spread. So telcos are looking at it the same way. Can they virtualize their switches in the cloud? Sure. One of our clients, Sansei's got all kinds of virtualized session border control technology and other things working in the cloud. That's the key. Companies like Vidtel, Magor are virtualizing video conferencing in the cloud. They're not, no longer do you need to install a big MCU, no longer do you have to install a lot of racks and servers and have it in your physical plant. It's sitting over there somewhere. And as a matter of fact, being that we're in Las Vegas, when I point to over there, there's a lot of that over there. I get switching data, which is all a mile away from where we are right now.
Great. All right. Well, thank you so much, Andy. It was a pleasure speaking with you. And again, this is Paula Bernier with TMC signing off from ITEXPO Vegas.